The forest whispers in the tongues of those who've wandered too far. The weight of unspoken confessions hangs like fog, casting a shroud over souls that seek absolution. The world out there knows nothing of forgiveness. It is a place carved from bone and blood. As a field chaplain, he learned the sanctity of silence among the air choked with gunpowder and sin. Here stood Brother Teodor, aged 48, a reluctant priest in a faith bereft of judgment. The abandoned chapel exuded an air of lossets, crumbling stones dripped with rain, the cracked walls saturated with sorrow. Inside, the air was thick with unuttered prayers, and on this night, the questions began to flow. A young blacksmith entered, his clothes singed and his breath shallow. He carried the heavy weight of regret upon him, much like the iron he shaped at his forge. I left when the fire took her. I thought I could outrun it. Outrun him. He looked down, fingers trembling, revealing hands blackened with soot. The shadows in the room deepened, echoing his turmoil. "What did you see?" Teodor asked, his tone steady, a lifeline in the swirling currents of despair. "The flames licking the night sky. I heard my sister scream, but I ran." The blacksmith's voice cracked, anguish etching deep lines upon his brow. The memories battled for dominance in his mind. I could have saved her, but instead, I stood behind a tree. I was no better than the fire. Am I guilty? In that pivotal moment, the silence filled the space, becoming a being of its own. Teodor, wise in the ways of the heart, saw the truth reflected in the young man's eyes. He did not need more words, did not need more approval, only shadows, where the heart wrestled with its own reckoning. "Would you do it again?" he finally asked. The question sharp, a blade meant to cut. The blacksmith flinched at the inquiry, sweat mingling with the rain dripping from above. Yet the question hung in the air, steadfast as the walls that surrounded them. As the scene faded into shadow, the weight of sorrow transitioned to another Talia widow, rugged yet worn, stepping into the sanctuary of silence. I kept her under the floorboards for weeks, gave her life, gave her food, and then I sold her to save my own flesh. Teodor offered a nod, indicating a bench near the flickering candlelight. They sat, the air thick with horror and remorse. The widow's eyes shone with unshed tears, embers of a life claimed by heartache. When they came for my child, fear twisted my heart, and I betrayed her. With every word, he felt the shackles of guilt tighten. He exhaled sharply, as if the admission alone could lighten the load he carried. I thought she'd scream, beg me to save her, but she only looked like I was just another tree, another shadow to pass through. Teodor listened, absorbing the sorrow like parched earth taking in the rain. The widow's words were arrows, piercing the stillness and revealing the scars that lay beneath. In this man's silence, the fear lingered, trembling in the spaces between words, where even angels feared to tread. The knight's face was a map, etched with anger and remorse, revealing a life once lived behind the sword. Did she deserve that? The widow shook her head. Half a laugh, half a cry struggled to spill from her lips, a mixture of hope and despair. She was nothing but a whisper in the dark, but now even the angels sound like fools. As dusk settled outside, shrouded in whispers of allegiance to the lost, Teodor remained steadfast, a silent witness to the tortured souls seeking solace. Then the shadows thickened again as the former knight strode into the chapel, dirt and memories clinging to him like a second skin. I buried him, a man with a cross, even if it was one I should not have held. Teodor turned his attention, the coolness of judgment softened by understanding. On the field of battle, he called for mercy, and I granted it. Words surfaced, heavy with remorse, as if every syllable held the weight of regret. The knight gripped the splintered seat, his eyes closed against the pain of reflection. I'm told we were enemies, but in that moment, I saw a man like me. I gave him the cross, one meant for me. The forest outside whispered secrets, leaves rustling in the evening wind. The night saber once drew lines in the sand, yet here was a wound unhealed. Redemption danced like a flame, always slipping further away. Did you save him? Silence enveloped the scene. It was heavy and palpable, swirling like dust around their feet. The knight finally nodded, a shudder rippling through him as he wrestled with his truth. But now, I'm left kissing that cross, and it burns like the blood of my own he fought for. Outside, the night descended, swathed in darkness. Yet, the reality within those walls illuminated the flickering hope of redemption. As Teodor observed the quiet confrontation, another soul stirred within him. Here was where the families of the slain crossed paths, where shadows became the custodian of their stories, blending truth and consequence into a tapestry of longing. What is justice when the law slumbers beneath earth's heavy weight? Echoed a thought, surfacing in the recesses of Teodor's mind. The woods trembled, the air growing thick as darkness folded around the chapel. Can condemnation breed salvation? The shadows shifted, revealing faces sneaking into the sacred space. They lingered in the doorframe like wraiths, silenced by the palpable breath of remorse that hung in the air. From the depths, the interplay of souls began, rising with the specter of their regrets, the night offering its sanctuary for the weary and broken-hearted. If the blood were yours, would you still ride into the night? Teodor posed, breaking the silence, confronting the hearts of those who listened, wrapped in their confessions. Hallowed ground, and yet no holy rites linger. The past, like a relentless beast, quickens to chase you down. Fear not the night, for it has no judgment. As dawn approached, the chapel remained a somber witness to the symphonic clash of hope and despair pressing against the fragile walls. What had once been a place of worship resonated now with confessional whispers, the sweet agony of remembrance interwoven into the heavy air. The golden light spilled through the cracks, illuminating sacred scars that adorned the confessional. There was no sanctuary now, but each other their honesty, taking wing among the darkest corners of their hearts. As each character laid bare their burdens, a sense of collective understanding blossomed within the dimly lit confines. Teodor, the watchful observer, found solace in the acts of revealing their truths. The battered road to redemption lay before them, reckoning renewed in the veins of their confessions. Remember this, he urged. Here the lines of sin and virtue blur, and to speak is to free the burden from one's soul. The chapel breathed in the atmosphere heavy, with old souls mingling with fresh regrets, where lessons were carved into the spirits of men searching for healing. The sun's first rays crept through the fragments of the roof, casting stark shadows that flickered with the memories of weighty choices weighed against sacred mercy. As the tales faded into one another, a realization dawned: the legacy of their choices was etched deep within, a testament to the complex nature of humanity. There was heard but one final echo in the chapel, as the resolve crystallized in the hearts of the gathered souls. Would you carry your past into the future? Teodor whispered to the deepening silence. Where forgiveness falters, The truth carries its own pain pure as the sky before the storm. Forgive the darkness, for it shall be your guiding light. In that dim and hallowed place, the weight of the world flickered in a heart's desire for absolution. As he stood alone again, behind the wooden screen, Teodor felt the dusty stillness settle around him like an old friend. At the heart of the dark woods, where shadows grasp and truths spill freely, mindful seekers bore their souls into the night. As every heart drifted through the path of memories, a sense of unity bound their pain, a subtle comfort in knowing they were no longer alone. Where your journey takes you, follow the path to redemption with us. He called into the void the lingering promise of another tale yet to come. If you felt the weight of this tale, the echoes of its lessons linger in your thoughts, consider sharing this journey with us. Subscribe to Medieval Stories for more haunting tales that travel deeper, touching the very essence of the human spirit. Let us explore the shadows and light together. In that hallowed place of confessions, a ritual unfolded. Shadows danced across the walls of the chapel, and the air crackled with the intensity of burdens laid bare. Teodor, the reluctant confessor, had become an unwilling shepherd guiding lost souls through the forest of regret. Each story wrapped around him like a shroud, and the weight pressed down upon him. His heart beat heavy like the tolling of a bell. As dawn crept into the room, the atmosphere shifted, and another arrived at the threshold. A man cloaked in mystery entered. His face bore the lines of a haunted past, his hands steady but stained with the ink of countless sins. The door creaked, the sound echoing like a lament, and Teodor's gaze met his. "What brings you here?" Teodor asked, his voice a compass to the wandering soul. "I come to unburden myself," the stranger replied, his voice low and gravelly, like a riverbed worn smooth by the flow of memories. "Then tell me, what weighs you down?" The man hesitated, as if searching the depths of his shattered ego for the courage to speak. "I was a gambler once, played with lives like cards, trading dreams for blood. My last hand took more than I could afford." The air thickened, a silence that clawed at the walls, waiting. "I lost my brother to that score," he continued, rawness lacing his words. "He placed his faith in me, trusted my judgment. When it mattered most, I folded. I chose greed over kin, and now," his voice cracked, "now I reap the bitterness of that choice." Teodor leaned in, a vault of understanding, surrounded by empathy. "Did he blame you?" "Blame? No, not in words," the man said, sorrowful resignation clouding his demeanor. "But I saw it in his eyes. The moment he realized I betrayed him, it was as if I plunged a knife into every hope he held." The chapel breathed with the weight of truth. The light, filtering through the roof, caught a bead of sweat on the stranger's brow, illuminating the tortured soul beneath the layers of remorse and regret. "Tell me," Teodor prompted gently but firmly, "would you gamble again if it meant saving him?" The man looked away, unable to face the question. "I'd stake my own life on it," he whispered, shame flooding his cheeks. "Yet you did not," Teodor pressed, the stillness almost palpable. "What does that say about you now?" The man clenched his fists, staring at the floor. "That I am weak, a coward. I traded my brother for a fortune that only left me empty." There was a palpable heaviness, a collective silence that suffocated for answers. Teodor remained unwavering, watching the man's thoughts spiral downward into the abyss where remorse festered. "But what if?" Teodor ventured cautiously. "The past holds the lessons you need. The choice you made imperfect as it wazzled you here, to this very moment. It keeps you alive to dwell on it. Alive, the man scoffed, bitterness etched on his face. What is living when it is burdened by regret? I reside in a tomb of my own making. Nay, Teodor challenged softly. You walk among the living, seeking amends through confession. There's power in that. A moment stretched taut between them, the man's resolve wavering beneath the weight of truth. You still breathe, still have the choice to honor your brother's memory. Can you not redeem that choice? Reshape it from the ashes of your former self? The words hovered, a lifeline thrown amidst the raging current of despair. The man's eyes flickered, with a spark, a glimpse of hope, igniting amidst the shadows. I want to believe, but the past clings to me like a burden. I fear forging forward, though the path beckons. Fear is as intoxicating as the games you played. It clouds your vision, shrouds the light, Teodor expressed. To confront it is to emerge stronger. Sometimes the greatest gamble is not with cards, but with the truth. As this exchange wrapped around the chapel's remnants of sanctity, Teodor sensed the gentle unfolding of redemption was a dance seldom appreciated. The stranger took a breath, deeper this time, the burden of captivity loosening its grip around him. In the fading light of morning, hope warmed the space threads of patience weaving through the fabric of their shared experience, a tapestry of confessions awaiting to be completed. As the sun's rays broke the horizon, spilling gold across the inner sanctum, the stranger rose, the faintest flicker of resolve glinting in his eyes. Perhaps I shall start anew, he said, voice steady, not merely in memory of my brother, but for myself, to honor what I lost by becoming something greater. Teodor watched as the man stepped into the sunlight, casting off chains that had long held him captive. In the quiet that followed, another shadow loomed at the entrance. A woman, hesitant yet resolute, stepped into the chapel, the wood groaning beneath her weight. Her eyes darted like frightened deer, revealing the remnants of a hardened journey. After a brief moment of silent acknowledgement, she spoke. I am not here to confess. I wish to understand. Teodor raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Understand what, my child? Why we carry the weight of the past? Why we linger in moments that should have passed into oblivion? The air shimmered with the tension of her inquiry, a wound exposed. It is nature's way, Teodor responded, his voice even and soothing. The past clings to us, like shadows at dusk. We are shaped by our choices, like the land carved by the river's relentless current. But to burden one's soul with guilt, does it not breed despair? She asked, crossing her arms defensively. Despair or determination? The choice lies in your heart, Teodor explained. The notion of strength often dwells in vulnerability, in laying bare the truths that haunt us. Yet, I fear facing those truths, she admitted, her mood shifting as bitterness returned. They frighten me more than I care to share. Fear keeps us stagnant, but it can also illuminate paths unseen, he urged, eyes steady. Each shadow is a teacher. Perhaps what you need to confront is not so much the memories, but the way they serve you now. She pondered his words, staring into the depths of her fiercer battle playing out behind her eyes. Is it really that simple? She asked softly, smoothing her dress anxiously. Simple? No. Necessary? Yes, he replied knowingly. With every breath, you have the power to rewrite your narrative. In that moment, her expression softened like frost thawing beneath the sun's warm touch. The night passed, tangled in shadows, but here, in the break of day, something new began to bloom. "Perhaps it is time," she whispered to herself more than to him. Nurtured by Teodor's presence, she raised her gaze, shimmering with the light of possibility. "Perhaps I, too, can find my way through the darkness." The chapel remained a sanctuary for tales yet untold. Teodor, the keeper of these stories, stood firm in the knowledge that until every single heart found its voice, the legacy of light would dance like embers upon the night. In this dance of confessions, where shadows mingled with the dawn, tales of redemption wrapped around the chapel walls, weaving a fabric rich with understanding. If you felt the weight of this tale, the echoes of its lessons linger in your thoughts, consider sharing this journey with us. Subscribe to Medieval Stories for more haunting tales that travel deeper, touching the very essence of the human spirit. Let us explore the shadows and light together. As dawn broke, illuminating the fragile sanctuary, the atmosphere inside the chapel shimmered with newfound clarity. Teodor observed the woman as she gathered her scattered resolve, and an unspoken understanding brewed between Thea's shared acknowledgement of their respective struggles against the tide of regret. From the depths of their gathering hope, silence enveloped the room once more. But it was a silence rippling with potential, a quiet that held seeds of transformation. The door creaked again, and an elderly man edged inside. His eyes were lined with the weight of worlds and seasons gone by, yet behind them flickered a fire, the kind that comes from a life well lived, though marred by moments of anguish. Teodor nodded at the newcomer, inviting him in. "Forgive my intrusion," the elder said, his voice a soft crack amidst the stillness. "But I, too, carry burdens that need sharing." Teodor motioned for him to sit, a gesture laden with empathy. "This is a refuge for all who seek solace." "My name is Solomon," the man revealed, taking a seat on a dusty bench. "I am a father and a lost son, for I bear both titles, yet find myself a stranger to each." The articulateness of his admission resonated within the chapel's walls, and Teodor leaned forward. His interest piqued. "What brings you here? Regret, perhaps?" Solomon began, his eyes wandering toward the crumbled cross that hung on the wall. "For the choices I made haunt me at every turn. I distanced myself from my son, believing I was protecting him from a life of hardship. Yet in that act, I isolated him more than I realized." Teodor nodded, recognizing the complexity of the elder's pain. "In our attempts to shield those we love, we sometimes build walls that imprison instead of protect." Solomon sighed deeply, anguish chiseled into the weathered lines of his face. "I failed to see that my fears were but shadows. In sparing him from the storm, I merely forced him deeper into the darkness. The heart often fears what it does not understand." Teodor responded gently. "Love can mask itself in misguided intentions." "Yes," Solomon lamented, "but does that absolve me? Does love shield me from the repercussions of my choices?" Teodor considered this, his heart heavy with understanding yet buoyed by hope. "We cannot change what has transpired, but we can find redemption in our intentions going forward," he answered, voice steady as solid rock. "Have you sought your son?" he inquired, hoping to guide Solomon toward a path of reconciliation. "I have searched, walked desolate roads, yet each step leads me to a dead end." Solomon's voice trembled, laden by disappointment. He turned to the bottle on the streets. I abandoned him in a bid to protect myself from his plight. Confronting the past can feel like a treacherous climb, but knowing the way forward is where healing often begins. Teodor counseled, the air between them thick with possibility. Every time I try to reach out, he turns further away, Solomon whispered, deep shadows gathering beneath his eyes. How do I bridge a chasm I created? In the quiet of the chapel, Teodor offered a response steeped in compassion. You speak with honesty, and that is a foundation on which to rebuild. Every moment you dwell in regret could be repurposed into a step toward reconciliation. The elder's shoulders slumped as the weight of introspection took hold. Is it fair for him to forgive a man who didn't stand by him? How can I ask him to accept me now? Teodor leaned back, studying the man's sorrowful eyes. The essence of forgiveness lies in its complexities. It is never fair and often carries a high cost. But reaching out takes courage, and that act itself can scribe a path toward atonement. If he could only see that I fought the battle against my demons as valiantly as he fought his, Solomon murmured, the flicker of determination igniting within him. The air surged with the potential of decisions made anew, the spark of a rekindled spirit reflected in the way Solomon straightened. Then, perhaps I must reclaim my role not as a protector, but as a father willing to walk alongside him through the fires, he resolved, the subtleties of hope painting his features. Teodor smiled knowingly, warmth blooming in the quiet space of the chapel. A journey shared often breeds understanding. In a world of shadows, often we forget the power of connection. Solomon met Teodor's gaze, a spark igniting the storm of anguish that had roiled within him. You speak wisdom like an ancient sage. You open your heart to share this burden, and I feel it lifting. Before their introspection could linger further, the door creaked open once again, ushering in a new figure clad in travel-worn attire, face obscured by a wide-brimmed hat. The silence enveloping them shifted as the air vibrated with anticipation, a breath held tight as the newcomer stepped further into the golden light, spilling through the chapel's aperture. The figure raised their head, revealing sharp features and an expression caught between defiance and vulnerability. I'm not here for confession, they declared, voice tinged with reticence. I'm only here to witness. Teodor regarded this new arrival with understanding. Witness to what? To vulnerability? To strength? To strength found only in vulnerability, the stranger replied, stepping closer. You see, I've chased the horizon searching for purpose, they continued, a sadness creeping into their expression. But every dawn seems to mock me with promises unfulfilled. Then allow this space to cradle your thoughts, Teodor encouraged, a hand raised in welcome. I have borne my share of burdens, but perhaps they are not so different from yours. The stranger's voice began to soften, a hint of warmth ignited behind their words. I've broken ties with those I loved, and for what? Pride, perhaps, or fear of being unmasked. Fear often drives us to distances unfathomable, Teodor agreed, the resonance of the stranger's admission echoing through the chapel. I wonder if you all feel as I do that amidst the chaos, I am led to believe I have outlived my purpose. The figure continued, a deep sadness lacing their tone. Teodor stepped forward, inviting compassion back into the dialogue. You are not alone in your struggles. Our burdens can feel isolating, but here we are together, all seeking solace from the weight of choices made. The stranger looked around at those gathered Solomon, the woman, and the shadow of the past that lingered on Teodor's countenance, orbs of yearning cast in blended hues of vulnerability. Amidst this congregation of kindred spirits, a flicker of understanding sparked in the previously unyielding heart. Then perhaps being witness to your stories can rekindle my faith to ignite flames of purpose long extinguished in my own heart, they said, a note of determination knitting their brow. Bear witness, yes, Teodor affirmed, but also step into the light that surrounds you. Together we can illuminate our paths through the darkest nights. You invite us into a fellowship, a connection forged in honest struggle. The stranger mused, contemplating the reality before them. In this sanctuary, we shed our armor, welcoming raw truths, Teodor replied, a sense of warmth radiating from him. Each story, each wound, becomes the way forward, a map woven through the tapestry of life. And so, the space that had felt heavy with the weight of past choices began to hum with the resonance of unity. Solomon, the once lost father, felt courage coursing through his veins, priming him for the road ahead. The woman who stood hesitant was now blossoming as strength grasped her core, dispelling doubt's chilly grasp. And the new figure, once seeking only to witness, felt the embers of purpose reignite within them, lighting a path obscured by fog. Thoughts lingered as the chapel stood firm against the winds of fate. Time flowed like a river through the changing faces of those who sought redemption in their truths. The world outside faded, becoming a distant memory as a new dawn crowned in their hearts. With each story that layered upon the other, hope thrummed like a heartbeat among them, a persistent reminder that in sharing their vulnerabilities, they embarked upon the path of healing together. If you felt the weight of this tale, the echoes of its lessons linger in your thoughts, consider sharing this journey with us. Subscribe to Medieval Stories for more haunting tales that travel deeper, touching the very essence of the human spirit. Let us explore the shadows and light together. The atmosphere within the chapel simmered with a tentative warmth, an almost palpable energy as hearts began to intertwine through shared confessions. Each soul present was shedding layers of isolation, revealing frail yet resilient truths. Beneath the weight of memories, they found solace in the collective journey of rediscovery. In the hushed light that filtered through the crumbling walls, Teodor turned his focus to the quiet woman who had been observing with wide, contemplative eyes. You've said you're not here for confession, but you've held a longing in your gaze, he noticed gently, drawing her out of her reverie. What is it you seek, truly? She hesitated, the shadows in her eyes revealing glimpses of battles fought silently. I seek understanding, she finally admitted, her voice tinged with hesitation. I want to grasp the essence of what binds us, why we linger in our choices long after they've been made. Understanding is the first step toward healing, Teodor affirmed. Whatever binds you, step into that burden. Examine it closely. Our connections to one another grow through authentically facing what is within us. The woman's breath hitched, the flame of resolve flickered. Yet, the weight is so immense, I fear I may drown in it, she confessed, her vulnerability disarming. Drowning is a choice too, just as is rising, Teodor replied, the conviction of his words stirring a gentle courage in the room. Every burden can become a stepping stone if you let it guide you rather than trap you. Stepping stones. She mulled the term over, as if tasting its meaning. The metaphor feels impossible, yet somehow hopeful. Perhaps I've been viewing my scars as markers of weakness when they might lead toward understanding. The stranger, still caught in the electrifying pulse of this sacred moment, interjected, "In learning to embrace the shadows, we can weave something beautiful from the remnants of our past." They nodded towards Teodor. "Indeed," he affirmed, "when we stand united in vulnerability, we unwittingly invite strength to surface. Each person's tale is woven into the tapestry of those around them. It creates a narrative full of lessons and hope." Solomon looked around the gathering, a swift smile breaking through his somber demeanor. "Then let us shed our burdens in exchange for wisdom, so that every step forward becomes a transformative act. I can't go back to undo my past, but I can walk forward with newfound purpose." The woman nodded, her spirit lifting slightly. "And I will follow this path with intention, willing to face what I have thus far kept buried." As Solomon spoke, a light dawned, a flicker of wisdom prompting the new figure to lean in. Their curiosity piqued. "Is it true, then, that we can rewrite our futures by addressing our pasts? Does that not feel terrifyingly liberating?" "It is both terrifying and liberating," Teodor confirmed, warm eyes reflecting the collective spirit gathered within the chapel. "Each of us holds a key to the prisons we built toward choices may have defined our pasts, but they need not dictate our futures." The air hummed with intention as they crafted an unbreakable bond, a sacred communion blossoming under shared authenticity and compassion. Then, unexpectedly, the door swung open yet again, allowing a gust of wind to swirl into the chapel, carrying with it the scent of pine and fresh earth, mingling the past with the present. A young woman stepped inside, the edges of her uncertainty softened by determination. Her breath came in bursts, and she appeared as though the world outside pressed heavily upon her. "I'm not sure why I'm here," she stammered, gazing upon the faces filled with expectation. "I just felt compelled to enter." "Then you are welcomed, curious soul," Teodor said, embodying the embrace of the space, accepted her presence. "Every heart has its reason. I have lost so much," she admitted, voice trembling like a fragile flame. "Friends, family. I feel as though I wander through a hollow world, and I can't seem to find a way back. Loss can shatter our understanding of ourselves, leaving us feeling like strangers in our own lives." Teodor empathized, his voice extending warmth like an unexpected embrace. "Can one ever truly return to the world after such devastation?" she asked, uncertainty coloring her tone. "To return is to embark on a journey, not merely to retrace steps," Teodor explained. "You must first honor the shadows of your grief, acknowledge their presence, before stepping forward into the light. It is in confrontation that we find healing. The land of mourning holds truths that can foster rejuvenation." The young woman inhaled deeply, her thoughts swirling like autumn leaves. She looked towards Solomon, the woman, and the stranger, seeing reflections of her own struggles mirrored in their eyes. "Then I will embrace what I have lost," she resolved, determination growing within, "to face the ghosts that haunt me and turn them into the strength I need to rise." As she spoke, a murmur of agreement passed through the group, the promise of hope perched just beyond their grasp, waiting to be seized. Their collective willingness to confront the past brightened the church, illuminating the weary corners that had once felt confined by sorrow. As they began to share their stories in earnest, the room morphed into a crucible of transformation, voices rising and falling like a heartbeat, each account honing a deeper understanding of self, love, loss, redemption. and resolute decisions coalesced into something greater. The stories bled together, each thread woven skillfully into the narrative tapestry they forged. For every wound revealed a birthplace of healing began to flow. Every challenge was met by an outstretched hand, an embrace of resolve, and the understanding that they were no longer alone. Life thrummed in the chapel, a steady rhythm of interconnected hearts where shadows flickered playfully, reminding them that dark and light lived in harmony even within souls bound by deep regrets. In the quiet aftermath of these exchanges, the air grew thick with the echoes of their resolve. It felt as if the entire world was suspended in the harmony of their collective stories. Teodor smiled at each of them, knowing seeds of strength had been planted within those seeking redemption. The chapel had become more than a simple dwelling. It was now hallowed ground, a haven, where each heart met the fire of renewal. If you felt the weight of this tale, the echoes of its lessons linger in your thoughts, consider sharing this journey with us. Subscribe to Medieval Stories for more haunting tales that travel deeper, touching the very essence of the human spirit. Let us explore the shadows and light together. As the conversations flowed freely and unbridled within the chapel's embrace, a sense of camaraderie enveloped the strangers who had once felt adrift in their individual shadows. The air crackled with hope and vulnerability, creating a sanctuary of shared burdens and unguarded hearts. Teodor remained a watchful guide, listening intently as stories spilled forth, each rising like smoke from a flame, taking shape and form amid the ruins of regret. Years ago, I witnessed the worst of humanity. The first voice broke through, belonging to the stranger who had shared his aspirations of redemption. I was a soldier, in battle, amidst the chaos. I was blinded by the throes of hatred, fueled by the animosity behind every swing of the sword. Teodor regarded him with understanding, inviting him to continue. There was a time when I thought I could bind my worth to the number of enemies I vanquished, but it cost me everything when I struck down an innocent soul. My heart remains chained to that moment. The weight of each word consumed the air, a mere specter sculpted from raw honesty. The new figure loomed heavy, yet there was beauty in the articulation of pain. Outside, the sun began to wane. An orange hue painted the sky, casting delicate shadows within the chapel's sacred space. I walked away from that battle believing I had honored my country, the soldier continued, voice lowering. But in doing so, I betrayed the very essence of who I was. I buried that truth deep within and forged into the future, always treating it like a festering wound. Silence cloaked the room, the kind of silence that paves the way to deeper understanding. Why do you share this now? Teodor asked gently, his tone imbued with the essence of compassion. Because, the soldier replied, lifting his chin, the weight has become insufferable. I thought leaving might assuage my guilt, but it has only cleaved me further from peace. I want to embrace redemption, to rewrite my narrative. As he spoke, the other attendees listened with rapt attention, recognizing reflections of their own pains etched upon the soldier's face. Solomon, now visibly revitalized by their communal honesty, added, "The need to share our stories is paramount. It transforms guilt into grace. Acknowledging mistakes opens the door to atonement." "Indeed," echoed the woman. "To carry only guilt is to be shackled by chains of one's creation." As the soldier nodded, the spirits of the gathered audience appeared to flow deeper into this shared resolve. "I had a brother," he expressed, voice trembling at the edges. "He too wore the uniform and tasted the bitterness of regret. never returned home. I lost him in that fiery dance of violence. I can't erase my share of blame in that story. I must carry my burdens forward, but I can't walk this path alone. Teodor could feel the undercurrent of shared grief tugging at each listener, a tide of understanding inching closer as they honored the bonds forged in pain. "Let us be companions on this journey," urged the woman softly. "Every scar carried is made lighter when the burdens are shared." As dusk painted the sky, memories began to weave from the tapestry of the present. Enlightenment flowed freely. "I cannot promise a way to undo the past," Teodor cautioned. "But within every confession lies the potential for renewal." With every gentle smile, the soldier's demeanor began to change, hope blossoming amid the husk of mourning. Suddenly the door opened once more, this time spilling in an air laced with sweetness, indicating the arrival of a child. A young girl, with untamed curls and wide-eyed wonder, stood at the threshold, clutching a ragged teddy bear against her chest. Without hesitation, she stepped into the chapel. "I heard the stories," she announced, voice innocent, yet filled with strength. "Can I stay?" Teodor chuckled softly, touched by her audacity. "Of course, young one. Stories belong to all of us." The gathered adults exchanged bemused smiles, their spirits lifted by the child's presence. "Do you have a story to share?" Solomon prompted, the warmth in his heart swelling with that unfiltered joy of childhood. The girl beamed, her freckled face alight with excitement. "I have a secret. It's about my grandma." "Tell us," the woman urged, her reservations melted away by the child's exuberance. "My grandma says even when things are tough," the girl began, "you love harder, even if it hurts. You hug tighter and kiss deeper, like sunshine tries to make everything warm." The simplicity of her words resonated among the gathered souls, a gentle reminder of innocence amidst the struggles of adulthood. "Her hugs are magic," the child exclaimed, eyes sparkling. "When I'm sad or tired, she finds a way to fix it, and if her hugs don't work, we bake cookies together. Cookies help bring the sun back." Teodor felt the tender warmth envelop the chapel, igniting laughter among the adults. "Ah, yes, the power of cookies," he mused, "and the magic of those we love." The young girl nodded vigorously. "Love is what we need most. Love helps me remember them, especially when I feel broken." The soldier, his heart swelling under the weight of innocent wisdom, nodded in the spirit of her truth. "Perhaps love is the compass that guides us home again," he reflected, drawing the threads of meaning together. As a chorus of agreement rippled through the room, Teodor marveled at how intertwining tales arose from places of heartache, revealing a deeper connection among them all. "What have you learned today?" Teodor inquired. Love is stronger than regret. It fuels our journey back," she answered, face glowing with youthful wisdom. "As simple as it may seem," Teodor continued, "it is in those simple things we often rediscover our course in life. In those moments of shared laughter and light, the shadows receded, forging bonds of strength through vulnerability. Amid the tears and laughter, the room brimmed with the richness of their collective tapestry threads of humanity woven together amid the unique patches of grief. With newfound resolve, they recognized the change, dawning within, illuminate the path of redemption with the light of love that became their guiding principle. As night settled outside, they turned to one another, the heaviness of their burdens beginning to lift, transformed into the power to inspire and heal. If you felt the weight of this tale, The echoes of its lessons linger in your thoughts. Consider sharing this journey with us. Subscribe to Medieval Stories for more haunting tales that travel deeper, touching the very essence of the human spirit. Let us explore the shadows and light together.